Okay, so hello guys. Today we're going to do the topic of factorizing. Okay, this is a very simple topic, I would say, and it's also a topic that comes up very often throughout additional mathematics and throughout pure mathematics, which you will do at the CAPE level if you choose to do pure mathematics, that is at CAPE. Now, this is a very simple concept, but make sure you understand it because it comes up a lot. Okay. So, a quadratic, okay? A quadratic is simply a polynomial in which the degree of x is 2, meaning the highest power of x is x squared, okay? If the highest power of x is greater than x squared, then it is not a quadratic. So the general form of a quadratic is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? Where a, b, and c is the coefficient. So a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is what we call a constant, okay? When factorizing, the steps are simple. We're looking for two numbers which will multiply. Two numbers, when you multiply them together, will give you the product of a and c. So if you multiply a and c, you want to get two numbers which will multiply to give you EC, we would call it, and those two numbers should add up to give you B. Okay, so that's really all it to the theory. And just make sure when you're doing these questions to make sure and include the signs. Okay, so the best way to teach you this topic is through examples. Okay, so in this question here we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, and we're going to find the value of x when this quadratic is equal to 0. So we know a is equal to 1, b is equal to 5, and c is equal to 6. So ac is equal to 6. So we want to get two numbers which multiply to give you 6 and which also add up to give you 5, okay? And if we think of some numbers, if we look at the numbers, so we want to look at number 6. What numbers multiply to give you 6? We have 1 and 6, and we have 2 and 3. Now, 1 and 6 won't work, so we have to use 2 and 3. Okay, so look what we do. So we say x squared. We have the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? And we know the numbers 2 and 3 will work. Okay, again, this is basically just trial and error using to get it right and guessing these numbers. So once you guess the numbers correctly, okay, we end up with numbers 2 and 3. So what we do is we split them up here now. So we have x squared plus 2x, okay, because we say numbers is 2 and 3 plus 3x plus 6, okay. So this is equal to that, right? So we have this now. We're going to factor out. Look at the first two terms, factor out something common. Look at the last two terms and factor out something common. So between the first two terms, which is x squared and 2x, right? The term x is common to both of them. So we factor out x, okay? And then when we factor out, we get x plus 2, okay? And then here, between 3x and 6, what is common between 3x and 6? The number 3. If we factor the number 3, we get x plus 2, right? If you want to make sure you're correct, just expand this back out, and if you get the equation above, you know you're correct, okay? And next now, we're going to factor out x plus 2. We're going to factor out whatever common, okay? And we see between these two, we're going to have x plus 2 is common, okay? So we have x plus 2, right? And then if we factor out the x plus 2 from here, we get x. And if we factor it out from here, we get 3. Right? So this would factorize to x plus 2 and x plus 3. Now, we're going to find it when this quadratic equation is equal to 0. Okay? Now, for this quadratic equation to be equal to 0, either must be equal to 0 or this must be equal to 0. So all we do is x plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to minus 2. Okay? And we have x plus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to minus 3. Okay? And notice if you was to expand this out, you would get back this, okay? And therefore, when that quadratic is equal to 0, we have x is equal to minus 2 and x is equal to minus 3. What that means, if we substitute x is equal to minus 2 into this equation, we will get 0. And if we substitute x is equal to minus 3 into the equation, you will also get 0. Okay? So let's do the next one. We have a is equal to 1, b is equal to 9, and c is equal to 20. So we have ac is equal to 20 multiplied by 1, which is 20. So we need to get two numbers which will multiply to give you 20 and which would add up to give you 9. Okay? Now, this one is a slightly more difficult one, okay? But it's still relatively simple. So if you look at the numbers, you could also use negative numbers in this. So let me show you what I mean by that, okay? Let's look at the number, actually no, this one is actually still simple. If we look at the number 5 and 4, okay? So we have what would multiply to give you 20? We have 1 and 20, we have 2 and 10, we have 4 and 5, right? Which ones would multiply to give you 20? All of those, right? But which ones out of those now would add up to give you 9, 5, and 4? Okay, so all we do is x squared plus 4x. Okay, I remember it was 5 and 4. So we're basically splitting the x into those two, between those two, x squared. Notice that if you still add up 4x plus 5x, you would get 9x, okay? Plus 20. Okay, now what is common between the first two terms? The term x is common, so we have x multiplied by x plus 4, okay, plus what is common between 5x and 20? The term 5. We could factor out 5 and we would get x plus 4. So if we factor out x plus 4 from this now, okay, x plus 4, because x plus 4 is common to this first term and it is common to this second term as well, and we get x plus 5. Okay, and if you want to find when this quadratic is equal to 0, either x plus 4 must be equal to 0 or x plus 5 is equal to 0. So all we do is x plus 4 equals to 0, therefore x is equal to negative 4. Then we have x plus 5 is equal to 0, therefore x is equal to negative 5. So if you want this quadratic equation to equal to 0, you could just substitute x as negative 4 or x as negative 5. Okay, so let's do this one here now. Now this one is different because notice, and becomes a little bit more difficult because notice the coefficient in front of x squared is no longer 1, it's 2. Okay, so let's see what we do here. So we have a is equal to 2, b is equal to 5, and c is equal to 2. ac is equal to 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4. So we need two numbers which multiply to give you 4 and which add up to give you 5. So what numbers multiply to give you 4? We have 1 and 4. 1 multiplied by 4 will give you 4, and we have 2 and 2. 2 multiplied by 2 will give you 4. Now, out of those numbers, now which ones would add up to give you 5? And we would realize that to be 4 and 1. Okay, so all we do is 2x squared. Okay, so we say it's plus 4x plus 1 plus 1x plus 2. Okay, if we factor out from here now, the first two terms, what is common? 2x is common between them. Okay, so if we factor out 2x from 2x squared, we will get x. If we factor out 2x from 4x, you get 2 plus, notice we cannot factor out anything from the last two terms, so we just leave it as x plus 2. Okay, and notice we have a x plus 2 common between these two terms, so what we'll get is x plus 2 multiplied by 2x plus what? Not 0. Okay, some people might think 0, but it's plus 1. Okay, because this is really a 1 in front here. Okay, and again now, if we want to find the value of x when this quadratic is 0, all we do is x plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to negative 2. 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore, 2x is equal to negative 1. Therefore, x is equal to negative a half. Okay? Simple as that. Now, the next one is a little bit more difficult now, because we have, so normally if the coefficient of a, if the value of a is 1, it's relatively simple. Okay, when the coefficient of e is more than, so the coefficient of x or a is more than 1, it normally gets a little more challenging. And here we also have a negative sign, so it becomes even more challenging, but it's the same steps we have to follow. So here we have a is equal to 4, b is equal to minus 21. Notice the minus sign, you need to include the minus sign. And c is equal to 5. So we have AC now is equal to 5 multiplied by 4, which is 20. Okay, so we need two numbers now which will multiply to give you 20 and which would add up to give you minus 21. Okay, now in this for this one, right, let's look at the the numbers which multiply to give you 20. We have 1 and 20. We also have 2 and 10, and we have 4 and 5. Now, notice that b is negative. But remember, if you multiply two negative numbers together, they will give you a positive number. So in this case, we also need to consider minus 1 and minus 20, minus 2 and minus 10, and minus 4 and minus 5. Because minus 2 multiplied by minus 10 will also give you 20. Because notice, if we was to only consider positive numbers, no two positive numbers will add up to give you a negative number. So in this case, we need to consider the negative numbers as well, okay? So if we look at numbers minus 20 and minus 1, if we add up minus 20 plus minus 1 will give you minus 21. And minus 20 multiplied by minus 1 will give you 20, okay? So we'll have 4x squared, okay, plus minus x minus 20x. Notice minus x minus 20x will give you back minus 21x plus 5. Okay, now we're going to look at the first two terms. What we're going to factor out. Let's factor out x. X is the only thing common between because both of them have the term x in it. So this will simplify to 4x minus 1. Okay, the next one now would simplify to, let's factor out minus 5. Okay, when we factor out minus 5, minus 20x divided by minus 5 is 4x. Okay, and 5 divided by minus 5 is minus 1. Notice your goal is to make sure that these two things here are the same, because that is the only way you can factor it out. So we get 4x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 5. Now, if we want to find the value of x when this quadratic is 0, all we do is 4x minus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore, 4x is equal to 1. Therefore, x is equal to 1 over 4. And we have x minus 5 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to 5. Okay? And that's really it for quadratics. Okay? At the end of the day, what you want to do, identify the value of a, b, and c. Identify the value of ac. Find two numbers which multiply to give you ac. Two numbers which add up to give you b. Okay? And that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you know the signs, okay? Know which signs you're using, and also make sure and include the negative sign if there is one. And again, remember, your goal is to make sure that whatever you're factoring out, that these terms here end up being the same, so you could factor them out. If they aren't the same, then you won't be able to factor them out. Now, note, not every equation can be factorized, okay? We may try, but sometimes it's extremely difficult to factorize some equations, and in that case what we use is the quadratic formula, which I will discuss in the next video. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.